I wrote this
Really
just
know how to use
because
it.
we had uh, a little bit of confusion about what is the subconscious and how it fits in. And I wrote down kind of what I'd gathered from Baba and Darwin on this subject. Ooh, wow. I don't know. That's if that's the subconscious, that's quite beautiful. I'm going there. Ooh, wow, that is something.
Mhm.
Ah, uh, it's the email itself. Yeah, there it is. Good.
In our last session, a number of us were unclear about what Darwin means by the subconscious and its distorting influence on our lives. It is said often self interest and secret desires that are lurking in the subconscious have a surreptitious way of veiling our consciousness. We are more conscious of the sanskaras at our surface consciousness, whereas in the subconscious, we may be aware of them only as feelings or impelling forces. Diane, is Tony on the screen tonight?
He
Is
wa-
Tony on the
Yes,
screen?
I'm
Yeah.
here.
he was, yeah.
Tony, can you read this? I think it would be well presented if you read it instead of me, please.
Sure. If
Start
Thanks,
start
Tony.
from the beginning again.
Yeah.
okay. Excuse me. Um, turn off my fan. In our last session, a number of us were unclear about what Darwin means by the subconscious and its distorting influence on our lives. He has said, quote, often self-interest and secret desires that are lurking in the subconscious have a surreptitious way of veiling our consciousness. We are more conscious of the sanskaras at our surface consciousness, whereas in the subconscious, we may be aware of them only as feelings or impelling forces, unquote. He stressed the importance of working at becoming aware of the contents of our subconscious, where all the impressions of our past lives, both positive and negative, are stored. These impressions affect our everyday behavior as if, as Baba has said, from behind a screen. Much of the distorting influence is due to beliefs and attitudes that we have
No,
bought
Bont.
into. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Much of the distorting influence is due to beliefs and attitudes that we have bought into from past lives, as well as from naively accepted beliefs from our early childhood in this life. In childhood, we often take on erroneous beliefs long before we have the emotional maturity to evaluate them, and they greatly distort our behavior in later life. Quote, the relationship between conscious and subconscious sanskaras, Darwin has said, is that there is some coloring of our conscious thought because of our subconscious sanskaras. Unquote. To use a metaphor, the subconscious is like the extensive layer of cirrus clouds high above the earth, whereas the cumulus clouds that we are most aware of are near the earth's surface. We often fail to see the upper layer of cirrus clouds that cause a major veiling of the sun's rays. Our task is to work with Baba to dissolve the virtually unseen layer of cirrus clouds, so to speak, so that more sunlight can flood into our inner being. There is a new type of therapy that delves into the beliefs from early childhood that we embraced naively from our parents and in our upbringing. There is a new type of therapy that delves into the beliefs from early childhood that we embraced naively from our parents and in our upbringing that are patently erroneous and which have never been fully examined. For example, we may have picked up from our parents the false or hurtful belief that we are not constantly working at that if we are not constantly working at something, we will never amount to anything in this life. And then, as an adult, we suffer under the unexamined belief that we are never enough. We have to be always doing something to give us a sense of worth. Thus, in adulthood, this belief is lodged in our subconscious and is not even seen and yet it exerts a major influence in our life. There are many beliefs and attitudes that we adopt unconsciously from past lives or from childhood in this life that often live on in our present life and assert themselves from the level of our subconscious. Delving into these subconscious beliefs, which are behind our behavior and often exert a negative influence, is an important work with Baba, and when uncovered, leads to a growing sense of inner harmony and freedom. Here are some of the erroneous beliefs naively accepted in our childhood that are often exposed in therapy or through the deep introspection that Baba encourages. We would scarcely believe that such immature beliefs from early childhood actively influence our present behavior. Here are some examples. If people don't find me interesting, I have failed. If I don't keep doing something helpful, I am worthless. If I am not attractive, no one will love me. If I stand out too much, something bad will happen. If I don't keep everything in perfect order, there will be chaos. If I don't do what I'm told, harm will come to me. If I don't follow the religious rituals precisely, I may go to hell. If I let others get too close, they will take advantage of me. If I reveal how I feel deep down, I will be ridiculed. If I befriend people of different backgrounds, it could be dangerous. We also inherit many of the above false beliefs from our past lives, which are stored unbeknownst to us in our subconscious. Thankfully, in loving and working inwardly with Baba, many of the impressions that form these false beliefs are being automatically dissolved. As we all know, Baba helps by making us face many uncomfortable situations in which these beliefs are examined and eventually sublimated and even eradicated. Is there a problematic situation that Baba has helped you to rise above and gain a larger or more compassionate perspective towards yourself and others? Quote, the sure sign of a real hidden conflict is the sense that the whole of one's heart is not in the thought or action that happens to be dominant at the moment. There is a vague feeling of a narrowing down or a radical restriction of life. On such occasions, an attempt should be made to analyze one's mental state through deep introspection, for such analysis brings to light the hidden conflicts concerning the matter. When the conflicts are thus brought to light, it is possible to resolve them through intelligent and firm choices. The most important requirement for the satisfactory resolution of conflict is motive power or inspiration, which can only come from a burning longing for some comprehensive ideal. Analysis in itself may aid choice, but the choice will remain a barren and ineffectual intellectual preference unless it is vitalized by zeal for some ideal appealing to the deepest and most significant strata of human personality, unquote. Mayor Baba, in his love. Jeff, we continue from page 15 in Effort and Grace.
Thank you, Tony.
We continue on page 26.
Yeah, there are two different
Oh, I'm sorry.
paginations. So I
Is
thought
this
we
dry
would.
one?
Yeah,
Because
this is where we are, and but I thought we'd pause a little bit on the subconscious, only because he refers to it quite a few times in the recent chapters. But I thought Marta, this is an example of how the things that you inherit from childhood can continue to have an effect later on in life. What do you?
Oh, you mean that example?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that I've learned growing up as a child, it was not said, but it was inferred from my mother, passed it on. My father was very, very brilliant, and my mother was very smart. but she was not educated. And I grew up with the belief that women are not smart and men are much more intelligent, and they know what's going on and how to take care of things. And so that didn't really hit me until my adulthood, and I had to come face to face. Actually, when I went to acupuncture college, and I said, I can't go to college. I'm not smart enough. And everyone said, that's crazy. And as it turned out, that was Baba giving me a chance to find out that I did very well in acupuncture college. And I really loved to learn, and I was able to learn. So that was an example that was kind of blatant to me that I worked on as an adult through the years.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, what we can pick up naively and profoundly as kids, and it colors the rest of our life. Here's an example, and then we'll move on. But I, in growing up, I had a pathological fear of public speaking. I mean, I didn't discover it until junior high when I had to give these book reports. Now, I did fine just talking with friends and everything, but when I would give a book report, I would completely dissociate from myself, and I'd look down and I'd see my mouth, giving this talk, and I was just somewhere else. It was horrible. And even though in normal most circumstances I was fine, then then I got into the Baba world, and I would be asked to go to the Sahavas and give a talk here and there and everything. And if they told me 3 months in advance that I was going to be a speaker at a Sahavas, I would wake up every morning dreading this thing for 3 solid months. And I never had any confidence that my mind would function when the moment came, even though it always worked out, the moment it happened. But I was so dysfunctional, I couldn't even think about what I was going to talk about. I couldn't even, at the last minute, I tried to put together a talk. You can't, I mean, it's amazing. So, on one of these occasions, and the only reason I said yes to these talks is that, it was cowardice not to say yes. I mean, so what happened on one of my times when I was in Atlanta, and it had been a very nice weekend and everything like that. And then this guy was driving me back to the airport, and he was doing work with Holocaust victims, a guy named Rick Berman. And as we came up to the airport and everything, I had this flash, and I saw myself in a past life. I was about just in a millisecond. I was about, say, 13 or 14. And I was in front of these two menacing interrogators, and I had to deliver what I had to say letter perfect. If I didn't deliver it letter perfect, I was going to die, and the whole network I was connected with, everybody was going to would be killed. And I blew it. I was too young, and I faltered, and they caught me. And so when I recovered that memory, that was from the past life. When I recovered that, since then it was just normal anxiety, just normal anxiety that people have in giving a public talk. So I got to the root of it, and because of Baba, and so here I am, yakking away. So, hey, Anita, I'm going to be out your way, and beginning on Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool. I won't actually be here. We're going to like interior BC, but
Oh, yeah. Well, you're about 2 hours away or something, or quite a ways, but I'll be in near Vancouver. Yeah.
He'll be on
Okay.
he'll be on the right time zone.
Yeah.
yeah.
Jeff, before we go to anybody,
Yeah.
you started to say that when you wrote the email, did you finish that sentence? Because I know you've been suffering from great heat and
Oh yeah, unbelievable. We're right. We're just finishing the Usahavas, which was about 2 weeks long, and the temperatures have been up 113, 110
Oh, Jesus.
day after day after day. I mean, that's with the heat index, but that's the stress it causes on your body. So it was unbelievably, and there was no air conditioning except,
Oh my
so it
God.
was awful. I mean, unless you, you know, slipped off somewhere and found some air conditioning, but yeah.
Was everybody
Anyway,
safe? Because you can get heat stroke and all kinds of things.
I don't know how I survived, but I did.
I'm talking about the kids.
Yeah, no one got heat stroke. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, let's go on to, were
do you
there any
want,
questions about the subconscious
Ron
or
has his hand raised.
who did?
Ron Greenstein.
Oh yeah, that guy. Oh yeah, that guy up there. Yeah.
I didn't fool you and think you didn't think it was Lisa, right? Okay. Well, yeah, I'm in a completely different place, Rich. That's why it looks so different.
Yeah.
Okay. I have two short little things that I heard over the years that relate to the subject you brought up about this subconscious,
Yeah.
how it affects us. So there was a woman that came home from a double shift as a nurse or something. She was worn out and her nerves were frazzled. I guess she was drinking a lot of coffee. And she walks in the house, and her young daughter is singing really loud and kind of real experimental, and nothing beautiful, nothing soothing, just making noise. I mean, but her mind, she was singing, and the mother criticized her, said, Stop that noise. You're a terrible singer. You don't know how to sing, so be quiet and quit doing that. And the woman, the woman as an adult would always say, into adulthood, she said, I don't sing. I can't sing. She would always say that. Not that she ever tried from that moment that her mother criticized her in that really profound way when she was like 5 years old. And somebody was able to bring that memory back, and that kind of freed her from it, so that she could then dabble in experimenting with singing. But otherwise, she was totally stuck in that
Yeah.
From that turn off. And the other one had to do with an older guy who was part of a group. The other people in the group were a bit younger, and it was like maybe a philosophical group, or I can't remember what type of group it was, but some of the people in the group was wondering why this guy is smoking. It just seemed wrong that he was smoking, and eventually they asked him, don't you know that that's not good for your health? And they were trying to be helpful, really. And so at some point, one of the other people in the group was a psychologist, I guess, and delved into some of his past and discovered that he got together with a group of older people, and they pretty much all smoked, but they let him be part of their group and talk about philosophical things and things that younger people would never have talked to him about. And he was so thrilled with it. And to be part of the group, he took up smoking. And he smoked for years after that. And so once this guy found out that was this initiation into smoking, was being part of the group, he said, "You're part of this group. We don't care if you smoke or not. None of us smoke, so you don't have to smoke." And he gave up right on the spot.
Yeah, these things are hard to get at.
Yeah.
But so let's go on with the text, if you can show that, Diane. How about Candy? How about you reading? If you can see it. I don't know, maybe she didn't hear me. Someone else.
Okay, no, I said I'm going to read from the book because the print is a little small.
Okay.
Okay, dissolving our veils. Into the cause of causes shalt thou penetrate, and lifting, one after another, every veil of illusion, shalt reach at last the inmost heart of being. James Allen.
Candy, just a minute, please. Could everybody mute because I'm hearing background noise, please? Thank you.
When we become true seekers and put our inner focus on the master within, we become increasingly aware of all the veils in the form of sanskaric thought patterns that darken our awareness of reality. We find that we maintain these veils, and we realize that we must tear them down in order to see more deeply within. By this, I mean shedding the false self, all the desires, misconceptions, and limitations that hold us back and keep us tied to this false idea of who we are. Stepping out of the false self requires effort, and getting rid of our veils is our work. Like going up in a hot air balloon basket, we must let go of the rope and dump out the sandbags in order to rise. So we have to throw out the veils, discard them. This means letting go of limitations and finiteness, doubts and fears, our misconceptions and attachments to emotional and physical experiences, all these subjective things, and realizing more and more, with the Master's grace, who we really are. Would I continue or somebody else?
No, now we see if anybody wants to comment about that. And we have Rich Sanders.
I have a
Hello, yes.
question. I need to direct it at Jeff
Yeah.
as it has to do with what Baba describes in Infinite Intelligence as your false thinking self. Jeff, so I wanted to make sure you heard this. So Baba uses this term Chaitanya to correctly describe all of this that Darwin is talking about, this apparatus of who we think we are in the false mind, right? The infinite false mind, realizing the imagination of Ishwar within ourselves. But this is our vehicle for our consciousness, right? It's equivalent in the imagination or in the creation of our conscious awareness of who we are, what we're doing, who we're relating to. So with that in mind, how do you begin to unveil yourself while using this vehicle to be conscious in creation? That's the question.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, you would say basically your personality self, right? Is the Chaitanya translation. So, well, the thing is, of course, we have Baba inspiring us to go. This it may not be something we're inclined to do, but Baba inspires us from within to get above the low-hanging clouds and to tackle the cirrus clouds high above. Anyone want to answer this guy from Fort Jackson? No.
Grand Junction.
Grand Junction, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone? Oh, well, we're just going to have to leave him hanging. Okay, Elizabeth.
Well, I'm not going to answer it the way he wants, I'm sure, because I have a different understanding of Chaitanya, if it's spelled Chaitayana. And I thought, based on things I've read or videos about Kitty, that was the concept of awareness of our consciousness, and that so as we go through this journey of consciousness, the awareness of who we are expands. So the awareness of our consciousness keeps growing until eventually we become one. But that's what I understand. But I haven't read Infinite Intelligence the way obviously Rick and some other people have. I mean, I've read parts of it, but I really don't understand Infinite Intelligence. So
Yeah.
I'll just throw that out, and maybe they describe Chaitanya differently in Infinite Intelligence.
Yeah. Well, I remember Merwan just a while was saying when you become conscious of consciousness itself instead of conscious of the creation, you've hit the gold mine.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I understand Chaitanya to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
When in the full development, full development.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next thing. We'll get into specifics here a little bit more.
How about Robert? Can you read Robert?
Sure.
Starting with a natural process?
Okay. Great. A natural process. By efforts, I do not mean imposing upon the mind a strained artificial discipline motivated by negative self-judgment. Rather, I mean a natural response based on understanding that inspires us to clear out the false veils, exchanging them for something more true as we awaken to an increasing awareness of the infinite possibilities open to us. This growing understanding is based on love for God rather than on reason, on intuition rather than on intellect. This is mostly a matter of maturity, which develops through the logic of experience that Meher Baba describes, bringing about readiness to grow out of the gross realm. In other words, we make a gradual adjustment to the spiritual reality and by degrees work in a harmonious and natural way toward our ideal, as opposed to coercing the mind. Otherwise, if we attempt to coerce the unprepared mind, we run the risk of engaging in repression and creating complexes. My own experience is that we attract the master's attention with our sincerity and integrity of purpose. He seems to awaken one's insight so that one begins to see better where the problems are and how they can be approached and dissolved through right understanding rather than through coercion. I find it tremendously helpful to know that he is the force behind our awakening. Jai Baba.
Thank you. Anyone have anything to say to that little section? Any questions or any example?
Can we see it up there again? Can it be put on spotlight, that particular?
Yeah, she'll come in, yeah.
Thank you.
And anyway, anything along the way, if you have some examples of how this plays out in your own life, it helps to clarify. Looks like Marta.
I have a question to everybody for an example, please. In the middle of the paragraph, we make a gradual adjustment to the spiritual above that. There, Baba describes bringing about readiness to grow out of the gross realm. I mean, that's a huge statement, readiness to grow out of the gross realm. In other words, we make a gradual adjustment to the spiritual reality and by degrees work in a harmonious and natural way toward our ideal. as opposed to a coercing the mind. So does that mean that we naturally, I don't know what it means. Could anybody have an example? Ken, do you have an example?
I'm not sure that I have an example, but I had a realization lately, which reminds me of that. And that is, I'll try to, it's kind of hard to explain because it's like a picture in my mind. The picture is, okay, the picture is evolution, reincarnation, and involution. And it's a being in a human body. And the being is turned towards the evolution and the world. And that's how they live. And the new thing that Baba has given you or me, I see it that instead of being turned towards the gross world and everything that happens in it, turned towards the path. So involution. So, and what I got from that is that the battle between my lower self and my higher self, which is Baba, and that is everything that's animal, that we come from, we have all these animal impressions and they linger on us. They're like clinging to us. Greed, lust, greed, and anger. They're all animal impressions which we carry with us. And I just have this feeling of looking away from that and looking away from that and towards God. So replacing all the gross goings on with a desire to be with God. So turning away from it. And that's how I know also, that's how I know when I'm dealing with my lower self rather than my higher self, because there are all these lingering animal impressions, lust, greed, and anger, and all the stuff that goes with it. So I don't know if I explained that very well. It's hard, hard to explain it.
That's the third stage of the heart. The Sufis, for a long time it's focused toward the world, and then when it begins to turn toward the light, toward the divine, toward the spiritual, then the shift has been made.
It's like that. It's like going, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
It's just like going, oh, and your focus is there and not there. Oh.
Yeah. And our love for Baba is really looking at the light. We're really turned away from all of the trinkets of the world, so to speak. Yeah.
Baba is such a big help in that.
Oh yeah.
This is where you really, but Baba is just like such an incredible help if you're really trying. I think making the effort, if you're really trying, you really will get help there. Not that he doesn't always help you, but I think that
and to have the spiritual take a personality, the personality of Baba is so attractive. I mean, if you're just going for the spiritual, it's a little bit too vague and formless, but to have a form, it really helps immensely. Yeah.
Let's go to Roberto.
Yeah, what I'm hearing with this is, and we're saying it here, is sincere effort versus coercion. And when I hear coercion, I think of myself when I'm wanting to change from a place of ego or from a place of wanting to look good or whatever, rather than a place of sincerity and humility, that I need to come from a place of complete honesty about where I'm at. Because I've certainly have been in a place where I say I get into a relationship and I want the person to like me a certain way. So I want to change for that person so they like me, which creates just more complication and sanskaras. Of course, it's all coming from ego. And so that's what I hear. What I hear with this is a sincere effort to be genuine with Baba, where I'm at, where I'm truly at. That's what I got. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent.
Let's go to Jim.
Now from Australia.
Devara.
Yeah.
Actually, that's interesting segue as I was waiting to have a chance to speak, because this kind of fits into what I'm thinking we're talking about. I hope it does anyway. When I was back, as I was, we talked about last time I mentioned some of the experience I had in India, and a fundamental aspect of that experience that Baba gave me, thankfully, which was that I felt completely disliked by some people who I was involved with. And I had never in my life experienced anything like that before. I had never experienced being so rejected completely as a person. That's what it felt like anyway. And, my reaction, of course, was I was so bruised, I was angry, I was frustrated, all those things. But because I was in India, I had no choice but to stay with it. I mean, I was dedicated to be there with Baba and to do this work that had come to do. So I couldn't run away. I couldn't just reject it. I couldn't just, try to escape in any way. There was no escape. I had to be with it. And what I felt, what gradually happened over the time that I was there, which is totally Baba's grace, which was that I gradually accepted it as Baba's will, that this was what was meant to be. And that in that acceptance, I gradually left that all that toxic, you could say, feelings that were being pulled up in me about being disliked, wanting to be liked, wanting to be appreciated, and all that sort of thing. And I had no choice but to give it up in order to save my own sanity, you might say. And gradually that process took hold, and the end result for me was an incredible sense of freedom, that suddenly I was now free of that, whether I was liked or disliked, it didn't matter. It dissipated. Baba took it. Baba, I mean, I'm sure I'm still sensitive to that. If somebody was to come at me and dislike me very much, no doubt I would have that same. But I'm not saying that. But I'm saying in that experience, I let it go. I was able to, because I wanted that freedom, and I was so intent on being there and accepting what was going on as Baba's will. And it didn't matter, nothing else mattered, but was for me to embrace that and everything that contained. And in doing that, gradually, it dissipated. And that was, yeah. So that veil, I guess, look, reading this, it sounds like that veil kind of was Baba. And I couldn't have done it on my own. I couldn't have done it in normal circumstances. It was only because I was in that situation that Baba gave me.
And working on the tomb, this happened at the tomb. But what did Eric say when you went to him with this rejection? I mean, he was brought to India to work on restoring the mural in the tomb, and it turned out he was just mixing paints and for the other people who did the work. And this is an artist. But actually, what did Eric say to you?
He said to me after I told him, I bled out my heart to him and said, how, this seems so outrageous to me. And here we are in this place of love. I could not understand this. And he just shook his head and he said, Jim, my whole life with Baba was nothing but humiliation and frustration. Baba's path is the path of effacement. and you are having the true Meribad experience. You thought you came to paint Baba's mural. I'm telling you that Baba is painting the mural. You said you thought you came to paint Baba's samadhi. I'm telling you that Baba is painting the samadhi in you.
No,
That's what he said.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
yeah.
Beautiful. It's the things that would come out of Erich came from the heart of all of creation, I would say. Okay.
Let's go to Elizabeth.
So we were that paragraph, those few paragraphs were talking about how this is a natural process. And you know, I'm just starting to reread God Speaks. And what I think is meant by the natural process is just like in the evolutionary process, we go from form to form to form, and each one is a tiny bit different than the last one. I think it's the same thing as we go through the involution, so that it's 100% natural, so that you go from he talks about things like the most last first, or the first most last. I mean, it sounds incredible to understand what that means, but if you really think about it, it actually makes sense. And I think I got a better understanding of why you're working on impressions from the previous form. I don't really understand it, but it goes through the whole process, and I don't think it stops with just the gross realm. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe some of this will get answered as we go along. Now, let's go on to the next section. We keep waking up Diane to do this, but yeah. Who you got, Diane? We can't hear you, Diana.
This, just when I think I know what I'm doing. This is Dispelling Veils, and the only other person I think that might be as tired as me is coming from Germany, Sabine. Could you read?
Sure. Dispelling veils, harboring our own thoughts, feelings, and desires, and thinking that they do not hurt anyone because they are just something that we keep to ourselves. This is how we maintain veils, and it is hurting us within. So we have to work on our false selves at interior levels and clear away anything that is maintaining or creating veils. Dispelling veils involves altering our thinking and feeling in favor of truth. This is a part of taking our stand upon the truth, as Baba advocates. If we are unsure as to how to get underway in dispelling veils, we can follow the simple criterion Baba has given us to work from. It goes something like this. Do anything that you would not mind doing in front of Baba. Say anything you would not mind saying in front of Baba, and think anything that you would not mind thinking in front of Baba. I feel that we must try to work toward purity and openness of heart, as well as toward such qualities as self-confidence and self-esteem. It is a matter of choice, and we are making choices every minute of our lives. Of course, I'm referring to sincere spiritual seekers who are willing and who realize they must make an effort to get spiritual enlightenment. Some of these choices are seemingly unimportant, but they are perhaps really critical, because a thin sanskaric thread can become a string and then a rope, and before we know it, we are hogtied by it. Eventually, we will learn how to head off binding thoughts and feelings at their finest, most subtle indication, even before they can become threats. As we work to tear down the veils, we begin to enjoy the spiritual life within, because the heart gets free of turbulence and darkness and we become increasingly aware of the divine presence. Eventually, we will come to the final closing down of the veil-making machine, because we will realize that we are already complete. With that completeness comes fulfillment and bliss. This comes about through a gradual withdrawing of the conscious from the gross level of duality.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Anything to say there to that? Any questions or any examples?
I just want to say that I just want to say again the first few lines where it says, harboring our own thoughts, feelings, and desires, and thinking that they do not hurt anyone else, because they are just something that we keep to ourselves. This is how we maintain veils. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Yes.
normally think that our thoughts make that much of an influence to the atmosphere.
Yes.
You know, here's one thing that before we go on to Rich there, but Darwin used to say, like, the first tremor, say, of anger in us, ideally, if we can be there at that moment and give that to Baba. But if we don't, you know, then the mind cashes in and starts to make something out of this bit of anger, and it puts into time and space. And before you know it, you're 35 miles downstream. All the factories have emptied their pollutants in there, and then it gets to your heart. So there's a way of, I mean, to get there early on. And I remember Darwin used to say that he got to the point where anything that came into him went directly to Baba. It's a constant giving. You're not taking it. I've given that metaphor as like a conveyor belt. The heart is in one end and Baba's in the other. And these boxes of our good and bad impressions are going by. And Darwin had the presence of mind to let the boxes just go to Baba. Whereas I would take the box off and check and see what's in that one. Oh, and then another one, I better check that one. And before you know it, I got a backlog of boxes. So he picked these things up very early. And that takes tremendous refinement of consciousness to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Let's go to Rich.
Well, I have a question again, but what it is where Darwin says, do anything that you would not mind doing in front of Baba, say anything, and think anything. But that seems pretty advanced for me, you know. I don't know how to put this question, but like, we're working on these veils, but you know, I think I'd have to get down the road a ways before I could really master that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that you can reach a point where you will think anything in Baba's presence and not try to think only, I mean, you feel like he accepts what you think. So you're not trying to think one way, only good thoughts, and try to hide your bad thoughts from Baba. You know what I mean? You know he accepts you, all your good, bad, and ugly. So you don't have to be squeaky clean with your thoughts and your emotions and all that. But yeah, let's go to Nanaimo.
The doctor.
Yeah.
Jai Baba, everyone.
Yeah.
What I find has helped me to sort of determine, okay, well, what does it mean to take a stand for the truth, take our stand upon the truth, versus sanskaras, is just like trying to become more aware and stay in tune with the body, because the body's a very good messenger, and our soul being in the body as spirit, where it's like you can almost feel when something blocks that ease and that flow. There's like a tightening somewhere in the body, and just noticing it, pausing, breathing and just asking Baba, like, okay, what's here right now? And those subtle thing, like whether, like for me, it's like clenching the jaw, or suddenly like a bit of like the heart starts racing, and then you notice, okay, like, yeah, there's this thought, I'm thinking this person, I'm thinking like judgmental thoughts towards this person, and then you can pause and Baba can remind you, oh, right, like we're one. There is not me and you. And that's a big one for me, I notice, is when I'm thinking of other people, like this constant stream of like comparing myself to others, or judging, or remembering something from the past. And all of that goes against the truth of that we're all one. There's no me and you, like we're one, and there's no separate self. And I think like that's a big one that for me has so many layers, and I have to keep stopping, and yeah, just noticing it in the body, I find is really
Yeah.
helpful.
No, that's a very refined, sophisticated approach to be, because the body, that, as I say, the body doesn't lie. If you can tune into it, you can see how what you're thinking or doing or feeling, whether it's disturbing the harmony of your body, or it's creating, like, say, tightness and all that. Very, very valuable. And to give that to Baba as you go along, that's an excellent method. Yeah.
All right, let's go a little south and east to Colorado with Bob.
Yes, thank you. Back to the paragraph where, well, it's kind of all about the same thing, but Darwin is talking about, he says, this means letting go of limitations, finiteness, doubts, fears, misconceptions, and attachments to emotional and physical experiences. And that last week he mentioned something about inertia, and in your introductory letter you talked, Jeff, about having to be completely busy with something all the time. I tend to go back and forth between those two. Either, having to stay busy in order to not feel like completely inert, and then when I fall into inertness, sometimes I have to make myself just get up and do something just to get out of there. And I don't know. It's a real back and forth. What came to my mind is a statement that Baba made to someone about, I think it's in Rick Chapman's book, You and I. Baba said to someone, do not let the fact of your depression depress you. Well, in this context, it makes a little sense. It's getting a little distance from those feelings, sort of standing back and observing them and letting them be what they are without holding on to them and making them worse. If that makes any sense at all.
Okay,
Yeah, excellent.
it does make sense.
I know Wendy Connor, Wendy Haynes Connor, Baba said to her, I think when she first discovered she had MS, and Baba said, don't be brought down by what I bring up in you. Something like that. Very hard to do that. But
So Jeff, we're at the top of the hour.
yeah.
How do you want to proceed? I know that you have an announcement about how next week is going to be.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking of taking next Sunday off. I mean, I don't know how you folks feel, but I'll be on vacation, and I was thinking possibly of getting someone to speak. There's Merwin Mehta, who, had been Norina and Joseph in the time of Jesus. He has a method, drawing on his experiences with Baba, that I thought would be fascinating, but it would take a little bit more than I can do in the next week. So, well, you guys can go and take a nice vacation somewhere, and yeah.
We're going to the Hollywood Bowl next Sunday night because
Uh-huh.
Cynthia Revio is playing Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh wow, yeah,
Talk about a new avatar.
yeah. Good. Well, let's see. Let's take these next couple of questions and then
All right, go to Jim and then end with Robert.
Yeah, okay. Well, quickly, in terms of what Jeff was just mentioning, here in Australia, we've started to try to do our own little effort and grace group, because of time differences and everything. And we do it fortnightly, I'm sorry, fortnightly. So that gives a little bit of a space where you have a little bit of a break and you can attend to other things. So anyway, but to the question that I was raised my hand about, or the response was, it seems with Darwin, from what I get, is that we I'm just holding my hands in front of me. I'm seeing them in the camera. We really need both hands. We need to do two things almost simultaneously. It sometimes seems we need to be looking at these veils, as it was discussed earlier, and trying to understand them and to delve through them and work with them. On the other hand, I think we also we don't want to get so absorbed in that we lose the perspective that we're not any of that. That's all just that's our illusion bound self. It's caught up in those veils. But we want to also hold, I think, in the other hand, that we are beyond all that we are the divine, that we are bliss itself, that we are one with Baba. And we need to hold both of those things. I feel, it seems to me, to best handle the combination. That if you get too wound up in the veil and you forget about the reality of who you really are, you get out of balance.
Yeah, no, very good point. We can be aware of both frequencies, the lower frequency of the sanskaras and the higher frequency of love. And it's possible to have both of them going simultaneously. A lot of people, they just will go for the lower frequency when that's activated enough, and it's hard to let go of it's hard to go back up into the higher frequencies simultaneously. How can you dislike something and feel love at the same time? But it's definitely possible. Yeah. Wow. We're getting a couple more customers here.
Do you want to go, Robert, and then end to Tony? How do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I just want, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to share that I had a similar experience that, I'm sorry, I've lost his, he was right.
Anita?
No, the last person that was just speaking, I forget his name. I
Oh,
can't.
Jim Frasino. Yeah.
Oh, Jim, yeah. I had a similar experience a couple weeks ago with a neighbor who was very, very rude to me. He was very insulting, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I was completely open. I was just trying to be friendly with him, and he just was very obnoxious to me, and I felt really deeply hurt. I was able to put the feelings into a painting. And there was at one point where when I was doing the final touches on the painting, I was feeling myself just giving the pain to Baba. And it was just such a beautiful experience of like letting go. And I started laughing. I just laughed. I just felt like I was laughing it off. And I think I've got it pull up on the screen. If you can make me a so I can show the painting to you.
You mean that picture of that gallows there? No.
What do you want to
just
be?
make me a co-host. Just make me a co-host so I can share screen.
He's going to show his painting that he did.
I think I can pull it up. I'm not certain, but I'll see if I can do that.
I'll spotlight you.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Here it is. So yeah. So I just felt like completely flattened by this individual, and you can see it's almost like I'm almost like on a cross over here, and just felt completely flattened by the feeling. And I just put all my feelings of hurt into the painting. Actually, I did more work on it where I felt the release with Baba. But this is what I have available right now in my computer.
Yeah,
but
beautiful. Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to go for something pretty. I just was going toward expressing how I felt and just releasing it. And so anyway, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, you can see the power of that. Yeah, beautiful.
yeah, the sun beating down, and the intensity, just like the feeling of just feeling like I've been just struck down, and I just expressed it and released it. It was a great feeling.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the share.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you for the share.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah.
Sure.
I also released it in a supermarket a while back because I was dreaming around this like I do, and I don't know what happened, but I must have gotten in somebody's space. And this woman, she really hauled off and started yelling at me about getting in her space and how dare I and all these things. She just was furious. I was with Tony, my partner, and he anyway, so I didn't say anything. I didn't get the New Yorker in me did not say a word, didn't yell back at her or anything. I was so proud of myself. I didn't do anything. And then when she walked away, I pointed her out to Tony. I said, "See that bitch over there?" So I let it go too.
Those are those private thoughts that you think nobody. They just. Okay.
It's those things that you would say in front of Baba, right, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Baba would have laughed. I think he would have laughed.
Yeah. You did so well up to that point,
I
Ken,
know.
and you blew it.
I really totally.
Well, let's go over there to Tony.
Okay. Hold on. Boom. Boom. Okay. So I give a lot of thought to the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. And well, the first thing that I wanted to share earlier, but not a lot came together. But among the things I learned growing up, there are also the things that you figure out when you're a kid, and you think you've solved things, and okay, this is how this should be, and that's how that should be. So those are also things you kind of carry. For me also, there were a lot of things a lot of instructions I got, directly, indirectly from life and people, but they're conflicting and they're all over the place. And so it's totally impossible to really fulfill them all. That was just a personal note. On the unconscious, the conscious mind, I think, is, as I think Darwin is also saying here, is the ego. The conscious mind is the ego. So the trick with that, the problem with that, the hitch with that, I should say, is that whenever you try to do better, or to it's the ego trying. It's the ego trying to solve the thing, and the subconscious mind is not much difference, because as he says, it's the feelings that form the backdrops that are also the negative sanskaras. My experience, I've done some study with Ericksonian hypnosis and other stuff like that. The unconscious is kind of where Baba is. It's the part that observes everything, that knows what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done in every little thing in your life. And what I'm finding that works is when I stop trying and take time with Baba, in which I'm saying, I'm turning this over to you. You know what needs to be done. And to my own unconscious. It's kind of like in one motion, one musical motion. You know what needs to be done. You know what I need. You know what I want. You know what you want of me. I don't know a damn effing thing. So I turn it over to you, and I ask for your help to do what I'm doing now. And the only other piece with this was a friend passed on something that Erickson had said once. He said, the conscious mind is a genius, but the unconscious mind is smarter.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're saying really is, when the ego's trying, and you realize the limitation of that, but then in turning to Baba, you're basically asking love to be the doer. Not your love wants you to be better. Love wants you to be more loving.
But
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 that's it's a different motivation. It's coming from love rather than Tony.
in my experience, anything I do with an intention for a strategy is still the ego.
Yeah,
So it is really just spending that time, because my conscious mind has no idea what my unconscious mind knows. So I'm who am I to tell it what to do? It knows me better than I know me. It's where Baba is. So I have no intention. I have no plan. I have no. It's like I'm
yeah,
depending on you. You want me to clean
yeah,
my desk, or you want me to go and do a play, or or you want me to take out the garbage or not take out the garbage? Whatever it is. I don't even think what are the
yeah,
terms.
yeah.
Then it's like Charles Haynes quoting Elizabeth Patterson saying that when you surrender to Baba in the morning, the rest of the day is the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You get eclipsed. If you invite Baba, he will eclipse our usual behavior, which may even be good behavior, but it's different from loving behavior. Rich, we're coming down to the end.
It's short.
Okay.
Good point. Well, the reading of the infinite intelligences, I'm finding it wonderful. But this whole thing about Chaitanya, for me, the simplest, most powerful way to conceptualize it is it's a sense of individuality. Baba call it, he
Yeah.
said it's equivalent to Jivatma. In human form, you're Jivatma, but you're enmeshed in this creation awareness or the false mind. But so this sense of individuality, it persists all the way until you actually are pulled across by a Satguru.
Yeah.
And in that sense, my ego is always trying to assert that Chaitanya, that sense of me or an individuality. When it's transferred into an ego form, it's chaos, right? I mean, it's just misdirected or
Binding.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, the hard part is what you're talking about, Jeff, is how do you leap into that, not being nebulous or nirakar, as Baba says, formless, but into the actual experience of what you call Baba's love, surrendering to his presence in
Yeah.
your.
So he becomes a doer. Yeah, Darwin used to say, with a kind of enigmatic smile on his face, many times, sooner or later, you realize you're nobody. You discover you're nobody, and that is not an unhappy discovery. So we, but yeah. Hey,
Yeah, they,
something real quickly. I'm going to just say it real quickly because Anita touched on this. This is something from Baba would say, in relation to other people, not too near, not too far. And the problem is that we get, if, say, Rich Sander has a prickly personality, I mean, Darwin would say we are right now embodiments of divine love. It's not just a future, it's happening right now. But by the time that ocean comes through my personality self, my Chaitanya, it's got to go through all these layers. And so this ocean is reduced to just a little stream. What the heck happened to it, So, and the thing is that it's the heart that's the vehicle for love. But if you get your heart too close to someone, they will hurt your heart and it'll shut down and it blocks the flow of love. So the idea is to position yourself back far enough so that someone can be their prickly self without causing your heart to shut down, and you continue to love them. So in order to we're capable of loving all the time if we work on positioning, but we usually get too close to people or even too far back where there's no room for a give and take of love with people. But anyway, that's a part of Darwin would kind of say that our positioning You know, you get too close to that lady in the grocery store, and she'll chop your head off. And you go away calling her a bitch, you know? And anyway, okay, folks, I think we've come to the end of the road here. And so we're off next week, and then the following week we'll continue where we are. But there's a lot in this. And I should just say that this is one of the major approaches to Baba, but it's not the only approach. And this is more of a conscious journey through our interior to Baba. And the ultimate, what Darwin was talking about, is the journey toward self-effacement, not self-realization. So it's a particular path, but it resonates with a lot of people, and obviously it resonates with you folks. I found it resonated with me when I wound up there in Schenectady, New York. Yeah. Well, okay, folks. Go on and have a nice life, and I wish you all the success.
Jai Baba,
Yeah,
everyone.
Jai Baba, everybody. Wow, okay, there's Dinesh has showed up. Yeah.
I also thought
Jai Baba is there.
I'd ask Nazreen to.
Oh, yeah, Nasreen. Oh, wait, before we go, yeah, Marta, how about reading a couple of those things? These are like these little poems. They're quite beautiful. And then we'll have a few moments of silence, and then Nasreen will
Finish.
kick
The
us out of
short.
the tavern. Okay, Marta.
Okay. Yes. There is my heart, and then there is you, and I'm not sure there is any difference. There is my heart, and then there is you, and I'm not sure there's any difference. The second one is, you are my love story, and I write you into everything I do, everything I see, everything I touch, and everything I dream. You are the words that fill my pages. And the last one, Baba said to Arnabas, the trouble with you is that you don't leave everything to me. If you left everything to me, I would take care of it all.
Those first two poems, was that Rumi?
No, that's
So-
not Rumi.
Yeah, a woman named Asher.
Oh,
But
okay.
she writes these beautiful,
It felt like Rumi. It felt like Rumi to me.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
It
that's
could
what's
be,
so surprising. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's have a few moments of silence. Now let's ask Nasreen.
Yes. Avatar Meher Baba Kije. Avatar Meher Baba Kije. Avatar Meher Baba Kije. Jai Baba.
Jai
Hey,
Baba.
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 Thank
you,
you,
guys.
folks.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
vacation, Jeff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey,
good.
you know, and I didn't know you know Ryan Hood and Pat.
Oh yeah, I know Ryan Hood and Pat.
I
for
know.
sure.
Wow, I didn't know. That's great.
Yeah.
I have a quick short announcement, but my play
Yeah.
was done this morning, The Conscientious Thief, and it's already on YouTube if you want to see it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, much love. Jai Baba.
Yes, Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Baba.
Yeah.